What's up? This is Udolena from Udolena Digital, and today is a book video day. So I'm talking about a book called Poor Charlie's Almanack. So welcome to this channel. Be sure to subscribe. My name is Udolena. I post a video every Sunday about books, courses, or tutorials on how to advertise with Google Ads, Facebook ads, and I kind of PPC, pay-per-click marketing. I work for Google and this is my own personal space where I post my videos. So without further ado, today I'm talking about a book called Poor Charlie's Almanack. It's by Charles T. Munger, who is the partner of Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, still on the top of the list. He is actually someone who founded a company called Berkshire Hathaway, one of the biggest investment funds, really worth of billions and billions of dollars, and Charlie Munger is his partner. So they're both in their 90s, really interesting people. If you haven't listened to them, they have several really interesting speeches and talks, and actually this book contains a lot of information, a lot of these wisdom that these guys have gathered, especially Charlie Munger. So it's quite an impressive copy that you have here. It's quite heavy, really big, luxurious, nice copy of the book that I have. It costs about 80 pounds. I'll post the link in the description of the video so you can check it out on Amazon. It's worth every penny. It's just so much information and knowledge that you can get from this book. Imagine the brain of someone who is super successful and has lived a long time on this planet, and it's actually written in a book. You don't want to miss on that. So there are a few things that I like about this book. Basically, this is all essays and talks, not on finance, but on something which Charlie calls worldly wisdom. So he is incredibly well-read person. Actually, the fact that I have this leather chair next to the library is an inspiration which came from this book. He talks about his assiduity. So basically, he spends a lot of time sitting on his ass and reading, and so does his friend and business partner Warren Buffett. They're both famous for the fact that they actually have knowledge, of a very rounded knowledge. So they know about psychology, biology, history, about physics, about all kind of things, biographies of people, and they are able to apply all these knowledge and actually get it to work for them into their own philosophy. So before that, actually before reading this book, I thought that kind of being way too knowledgeable, I associated with actually being poor, because I know quite a few people who are extremely smart and they have read tons and tons of books. They are very well read. They can tell you hours and hours about the Roman Empire, but they have achieved nothing in their life, both personally and financially. So this is why I was a bit biased, but when I started reading this book, I understood that it's all up to the person, really, how they apply this information that they get from the outside and what they use it for, or whether they use it at all. So a few highlights of the book, which I absolutely love and really recommend you to read. It's really worth getting it. The book contains several speeches that he has done in front of Harvard, Stanford, University of Southern California, plus a lot of essays and his own ideas about subjects like discipline, about stoicism. He's a big fan of stoicism, about Roman philosophy. And you can read really get a lot of ideas of other books that you could read, which he recommends, what he has read and what has made a lot of impact on him. There are a few quotes that I want to share from the book. One of them I really love is, "If you don't get elementary probability into your repertoire, you go through a long life like a one-legged man in an ass-kicking competition." So very simple, but this is exactly the way he talks, the way his style. It's really about having priority in this life by making the right judgment. And actually the whole book is about how to make right judgment, how not to be wrong with your judgments. You can pick a lot of other books on that topic, but this is really wonderful because he talks exactly how he determines that he's right or not, and how he evaluates everything that he has to review in his life. So a few things that he talks about is the power of being interdisciplinary learner, to know more outside of your scope, like not to dig into one scope only and to neglect everything else. You need to have information about the rest of the world in order to make the right judgments. And actually, one other thing which I really love is about ideology. So me coming from Bulgaria, I know a lot of people, let's say from my parents' generation, who grew up with a lot of ideology, a lot of communist ideology, and they couldn't really get rid of it for a long time. It really confuses people a lot, and I'm not a big fan of ideology either. So what he says is that if you get a lot of heavy ideology young and you start expressing it, you are really leading your brain into a very unfortunate pattern, which I agree with. So ideology in that sense, it could be something not only political or religious ideology, it can be just the ideology that you're picking up from your parents, from your surroundings. There's all kind of ideology which is not really preached to you, but it's kind of preached to you. So you have to keep your mind clear, and you have to be able to estimate whether this is your thought, or this is something that you've heard of, or something that's been shown to you 10 times on social media with the right algorithm, so that it's kind of programmed in your head now. Which we have seen that has happened, especially with Facebook and the elections of Donald Trump. People know how to program even online, so this is something real, and you have to really understand that ideology can take you to the wrong side of things. Actually, whenever you're assessing a problem, according to Charlie and Warren Buffett as well, is that you have to understand the opposite side so well that you would be able to defend the opposite side better than your opponent can. Very good point, and I totally agree with it. Another thing which I really find very interesting is the way to win is to work, and hope to have a few insights. This is actually the entire ideology of these two guys. They lived a long life, they were blessed with a long life, and they keep saying that actually this is their biggest chance and their biggest secret to success is that they lived long enough, and they were applying the same very simple principles which they knew worked, which they fully understood. They were only buying businesses that they fully understood, that they were absolutely certain that they're gonna be of good value and they're gonna bring them more money. Of course, they did a few mistakes as well, but when they were right big time. So they own a lot of Coca-Cola stocks, for example. They had this unique opportunity, let's say once in a decade or once in 50 years opportunity to buy a lot of stocks from Coca-Cola at a very low price, and now they own a very strong share from the company. I think they still own it. And this corresponds to our ideology. Let's say us millennials, we constantly try to compare ourselves with each other, that we need results yesterday. We're trying to achieve everything straight away and kind of get frustrated if things are not going well for a few months or something like this. Well, these guys have adopted a bit of a different philosophy, and actually Charlie Munger talks a lot about Cicero and the Roman Stoics, how they valued old age, that this is actually something very important. When you are old, you have all this knowledge, you have lived long time. If you have lived well and you have actually observed and used your brain during that time, you are actually more valuable than a young person who is absolutely inexperienced. They're emotional, they don't understand what's happening, and maybe their judgment is wrong. So this is very interesting point of view, and it's worth observing, especially in our days when we try to compare each other so much on social media and in any kind of way to believe that we are not achieving fast enough results. And finally, what I really like is the iron rule of life is that only 20% of the people can be in the top fifth. So simple math, this is exactly Charlie Munger's style, and actually if you go through the book you will see a lot of such examples. It's just maths. You cannot make people equal. There will always be 1/5, which is 20%, and that will be the top fifth. The way you divide people, it will be, if you divide them in fifth, there will be always a top. And coming from Bulgaria again, I remember people were complaining a lot about the fact that there was no equality anymore after the communism had gone. However, even at that time, when I look back and from what I know, there was a top 20%, 1/5, which was getting much more than everybody else. So in a way, you cannot make things equal, and you have to use simple maths to understand these principles of life, which actually don't change that much alongside the years. So this is all from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please share it, subscribe to this channel, and I'll be back with a new video next Sunday. So see you soon.